Good morning, friends. Today I have been thinking a lot about the concept of attunement. And I want to explain what that means because I think there's a lot of us that believe and assume things about the roles of other people that interfere with our ability to be satisfied in our relationships. Attunement is something we often learn from our family of origin. So when we are struggling or we need something, it's generally the responsibility of our parents to tune in and to say, oh, you need a nap, you're hungry, you need a diaper change, you need a hug, you need, comfort and support and things like that. When we don't have experiences that line up with being attuned to, we really often struggle to tune into ourselves. So what happens is we walk into a relationship, we've watched one too many rom-coms, you complete me kind of stuff, and then we're frustrated because our partner just doesn't automatically know what to do to help us when we're in a bad mood or our feelings are hurt or things like that. When we go back to the concept of our toddlers, part of attunement reality is it's our each individual job to tune into ourselves and then communicate it to the people in our lives who are capable of showing up for us. So for example, if there's a grief anniversary or a birthday expectation or an anniversary expectation, how do we tune into ourselves to be able to communicate that to our partners? When I first got married, one of the things that didn't make sense to me is what I heard often. It was like, oh, Bobby didn't do anything for our anniversary. He forgot it, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't seem very fair. How does that work? So our first anniversary, like a month before, I said, hey, what do you want to do for our anniversary? What's our budget? What do we hope to do this time? And every year since then, we have a conversation 1 or 2 months ahead of time, and sometimes even more if it's like a big anniversary, like, hey, it's our 10 years. What do we want to do? And we could sit down and have a conversation about what was important, what we thought we wanted to do, how much money our bank account would allow us to spend on such a thing, until we're on the same page about what it looked like to celebrate. There are other things, birthdays. For me, for years, there was a lot of like, oh, my birthday wasn't celebrated the way I wanted. And honestly, it was true my whole life. Like, oh, this didn't play out the way I anticipated, with the exception of a couple really fantastic birthdays that my best friend and sisters threw. But being able to say, okay, what is the thing that I'm hoping to accomplish on this birthday? What is the thing I need? And then how do I speak up for it? How do I plan for it? How do I budget for it? How do I be realistic? If someone's gonna be like, well, I'd like to rent a whole cruise ship and have a cruise all by myself. Well, there was that guy that got to do that, but my budget does not include renting my own cruise ship, and I kind of get motion sickness, so that probably didn't want to work either. But being aware of what are the things that I need, and then how can I communicate it to people that are capable of giving it to me? So if I'm in an emotional spot and I need nurture and support, and the people I want to do that haven't shown me that they can do that, then it's my job to look for like, all right, who are the nurturing people in my life and how can I get that? Because it's like, if my foot hurts and I go to a mechanic and I say, hey, my foot hurts, can you fix it? He's gonna look at me like I'm crazy. He doesn't know what he's doing, and maybe he has some experience, but he's not an expert in it. So if I know my foot hurts, well, I'm gonna go to a podiatrist, If my nerves aren't working, I'm gonna go to a neurologist, and we know the specialties of that, but we don't do that in our own personal life. Hey, I'm feeling like I need to be creative. Cool. Who are the people in my life that support and advocate for my creativity that I could do it with, or that I can do it for myself? Okay, I need to, remember I'm intelligent. I need to have a smart conversation. Okay, well, who are the people I have smart conversations with when I need it? Who are the people who help me problem solve or help me feel validated or things like that? But it's our job to tune into ourselves as we're navigating that. And what I found is people who are struggling with their mental health or with feeling dissatisfied in their relationships, it's usually because they had a family of origin system that didn't tune in well, and thus they never really learned how to tune into themselves. Again, There are some people who were well attuned to. People were present and there and validating, but with boundaries and structure and all those things. And they can see that in themselves and say, you know what, I really want to X, Y, and Z. And they speak up and they feel capable of doing that. But not everyone had those families. So when we start tuning into ourselves of what we need, what we feel, what we hope to accomplish, we have to be able to know it about ourselves before we can communicate it with anyone else. And so if you notice yourself getting frustrated with a partner or a family member that isn't tuning in well to you, it might be important to check the assumption that it's their job to tune in. You know, if I say, hey, the anniversary of someone's death is coming up, I'm having a hard time, and this is what I'm going to need from you, whether it's space or compassion or a hug or a day in bed or an adventure that mirrors their personality, the person you lost. It's each of our jobs to speak up, and then invite the people in our lives that are on our team to participate in whatever way that looks like, and give compassion and space for that. But if we don't know, we can't ask. And if you're finding that your needs are not getting met, I would highly encourage you to look at, are you advocating for your needs? Do you even know what they are? Or are you still waiting for someone else to figure it out for you? And then it's frustrating because they don't know. Because reality is, it is work, and it's scary, and it's hard to do that work and look and be like, oh, I don't know what I need. And I have to grieve the fact that I never learned because of the painful things that did or didn't happen in my formative years. And then we get to speak up for those parts of ourselves now and say, hey, this is what I need. Please listen. This is important. I wish you luck on your journey, and I'll see you next time, friends. One more thing. The fact that your partner should not have to attune to you does not mean it's not beneficial for your partner too at some point. You know, if you've been married for 10 years and consistently you want help bringing the groceries in, it's not a bad thing for your partner to anticipate that and be on the ready when you are trying to get something done. There's a lot of power and healing in people attuning to us. The painful point is the expectation without communication can be really frustrating on both parts because it builds resentment and frustration and disconnection in our relationships. I've had people that have been friends who have tuned in to my life when I was having a hard time and showed up for me in spectacular ways. I mean, I had a neighbor, I was sick when I first moved into the neighborhood, and one of my neighbors texted me and was like, hey, what's your favorite drink? And they just, brought me what is it? Whatever it's called, Powerade. They brought me a Powerade to help me feel better and to help me stay hydrated while I was sick. I have another friend who, honestly, one of my favorite people ever. My spouse was in the hospital, and she said, hey, I'm going to do your laundry for you. My daughter was a year old, and going to the laundromat with loads of laundry and a baby was hard. So it's wonderful when people tune in. The problem is the expectation without communication. And so being aware that, yes, tune in. If you're aware and you're noticing that someone is struggling and you want to show up and do something for them that you feel like would be good for them, do it. But the expectation breeds resentment. So making sure you're communicating those things and know those things about yourself is equally valuable.